I had a baby boy 2.5 months ago.
Holy shit!
Wow.
Can you elaborate?
Pool party, I saw Kaci, and she had the audacity to tell me we are Eskimo sisters. Class act.
Cool, but not cool, you know, but it was
I
cool.
don't think it was cool. I mean, all I wanted to do was protect you. And
y'all, we got the Love is Blind reunion and they could have kept it. There were so many missed opportunities here, things that could have been unpacked in the season. People are coming with notes. They didn't ask the right questions, and Kaci still ended up with the ring. There is so much BS to unpack about that moment alone and the rest of the reunion, so let's get into it. Hi guys, welcome back to Nikki Faces Reality. We are here to discuss Love is Blind Season 9, the reunion. Let's just jump straight into it, okay? If you watched it, great. I am here to give you my commentary, my thoughts. And if you didn't watch it, I'm gonna walk you through the event, okay? While you guys are here, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Hype, all of the things, please. Okay, so first of all, we start this reunion. We are outside, which is a choice. I get it. Colorado is known for their nature, the beauty, the scenery. However, this area resembled a cave. They have a performing artist by the name, what's his name? Mal Smith performing, and he's doing great, but not great enough to distract me from the cast stumbling down these stairs. They are fighting for their lives, walking down these stairs in these heels. A lot of them look great. A lot of them look very different faces completely. I don't know if it was Annie's face or if it was that her hair was brushed, but I did not recognize that woman. Even her demeanor, maybe watching herself back, she was like, I need to just not speak. I don't know what happened, but everyone's here. Everyone's, split up. The Lachey's are doing their intros. And we jump straight into Jordan and Megan, okay? So, of course, they make a million jokes about the chicken smoothies, but Jordan does look great. They touch on the fact... The wind is going crazy outside. They touch on the fact that, we saw that combo between Megan and her friends where they mentioned, the lifestyle differences and the way that she would almost have to settle. And they ask him his thoughts. If he thought that was the deciding factor. And he's like, let's ask Megan. And so both Jordan and Megan don't really answer this question, but it's obvious that the answer is yes. She would be compromising a lot and she didn't realize just how much. Then they ask her how she feels watching back the scene where he was like, I regret introducing her to my son Luca. And she started crying because she felt like that was hurtful, like she didn't take it for granted, and it just sucks that he felt that way. He's like, listen, it's not that I think you're a horrible person, I just think that my child is at a very impressionable age, and it's, hard to introduce them to someone that's gonna be a stranger in 2 days. And he takes full accountability for that. He's like, I'm the one that got into this experiment, I should have known better. And I said it, I think in my last one, how I have mixed feelings about this, right? Like, I think that, in theory, I think that this should be open to everyone that wants to find love. But the parameters of this show and the quick turnaround to marriage and bringing a child into it, it just doesn't seem right. So I'm heartbroken for him because single parents deserve love, but I just don't think that Love is Blind is the way. But y'all, the moment of truth, okay? They touch on Megan at the end crying, saying that she didn't feel like she could be mother material. And they're like, but you have some use for us, don't you? And she's like, yeah, I do believe that I'm mother material because I am a mommy. And everyone is shooketh. Jordan isn't showing any emotion, but what he's showing isn't great. You know what I mean? It looks like he's clenching his butt. It's almost like he's telling himself, don't worry. I think that they had a lot of issues and it wasn't one way or the other. I think that it was both of them unwilling to compromise all the way. If I were him, and this would be the first time that I'm hearing this, I would be hurt, being like, damn, she broke up with me because she didn't think that she could make all these sacrifices to be a mom, and now she's a mom with someone else. But this isn't the first time he heard this. So backtracking, she tells everyone, I'm a mommy. Everyone's like, oh my God, no wonder you've been ghost. We haven't seen you. She's like, yeah, I've just been really private. And it probably would have been a huge shock to all of us if it hadn't already been leaked by various media outlets. But yeah, y'all, I think it was still shocking, the impact of it, because I'm like, wait, how long ago was this filming? everything happened really fast. And she tells us she had her son 2 months ago. And I'm like, okay, Megan, great. You have a butt now. Give us the timeline. So they point out the guy. He's in the audience. His name is Paul. And Honey tells us a full timeline. She's like, the show finished filming in April. As we know, her and Jordan broke up in April. They didn't dilly-dally afterwards. They were done. She meets this guy in July through friends. And 3 months into dating this new man, Paul, she gets knocked up. Honey, that is fast. But she has money. She's not worried. She took it in stride. And Paul better watch out, because Megan was like, yeah, it wasn't, the smoothest relationship. Like, we're not perfect by any means, but we're great. And I'm like, Megan, why did you think that it was important to share that? Was it maybe to like soothe Jordan's ego? Like, why was that necessary to out your business about a man that's not even on the show? I found that interesting. But then they show us a beautiful picture of her little baby. Adorable. But now they pan to Jordan and they're like, Jordan, is this news to you? And he's like, no, it's not news to me. She had already told me. But the way that she had to tell him was crazy. So she only told us a little bit in this segment, but we found out more in AD's podcast. So on the show, Jordan lets us know that somebody sent him a nasty DM, kind of implying that she had had a baby with Mike. That she got back with Mike and it was this whole thing. And she was like, no, like, I'm not with Mike. I didn't have a date. I didn't have a baby with Mike. On AD's podcast, she lets us know that she hung up and she was like, damn, maybe I should let him know that I am pregnant, but with someone else. And apparently she gave him a call back and she was like, listen, I did have a baby though, just not with Mike. And he was apparently really shocked, taken aback, but he was really kind. And I think that that's so amazing that she had the discernment to be like, let me not surprise this man with this. Because he even said it. He was like, if I would have learned about this at the reunion, I would have felt differently. But at the same time, you didn't choose each other, You just got to move on, live and let live. She looks really happy. I feel like they still have feelings there, the way that they were acting towards each other. But very respectful. And I can only imagine being Jordan and receiving a message about someone insinuating that she like cheated on him with Mike or something. But we do learn that after they broke up, post-pods, she did go on a few dates with Mike and it was just not working. There was absolutely no spark. But she also told us that she went on a date with Blake where he mostly just apologized for ghosting her. Jordan is not dating anyone. He's like, I don't want to introduce anyone to my son. Like, I'm just not dealing with it. They also addressed the comment that Mike made in the pods, insinuating that kids have diabetes because of ill parenting and things of that nature. And apparently immediately after it aired, Mike apologized to Jordan. And, they have this moment where they educate everyone again on the different type of diabetes and the fact that his son has type 1. They do their best to manage it, but it's one that he's going to have for all of his life, Mike apparently apologized profusely and made a big donation in Luca's name to a foundation of their choice. And the way that Jordan talked about it, Mike better count his blessings, because Jordan very much was like, I've forgiven him. He's taken accountability. He understands now. And he put his money where his mouth is. And if it would have been a petty person, they would have left this open-ended for Mike to get dragged. But Jordan was a class act with this. Y'all, but after this segment is over, they bring out Kaci, Patrick, and Kait. And wow, Kaci may be worse than what she was edited. And that is insane to say, but that is a fact. So they immediately asked Patrick, hey, so how was it seeing that scene of you hearing that she wasn't attracted to you? And he's like, yeah, it was crazy to get answers a whole year later because I wasn't getting them throughout.
Slightly.
What do you mean you were trying to protect him? Everyone is trying to hold back laughter because she's a clown. Jordan can't even sit in his seat. He's in front of her and he keeps shifting. He keeps holding his face because he's like, I can't. Then they addressed the damn ring situation. This ring is purchased by production, okay? The future groom picks it out. They give it to the fiance, bride, whatever. I am all for ladies keeping the rings after you've invested into the relationship, right? You've been in it for the long haul. You've been in this engagement. If it doesn't work out, honey, I'm leaving with something. You were engaged on camera, not even for 24 hours, because that same night, you pull that hotel stunt where you're like, I have to go home. So to then be like, I need to keep this ring is insane. She claims that she felt like he wasn't being, sensitive to her feelings, that he wanted to talk right away.
Explain that maybe in this high pressure, again, timeline, that I don't know if my attraction can grow to get to the aisle.
I think that it is extremely selfish to leave an experiment that you signed up for to do X, Y, and Z moves, and then to not have any communication and want to leave someone on the hook.
Can we just talk this out in person? So I asked for a phone call and she said she wasn't ready.
So I'm all with Patrick. Like, maybe that's my anxious attachment, but I'm like, no. You're gonna give me answers or you're gonna let me go. Especially after we have it on camera where she's with the producers and then turning on the tears when she's like, I'm just not attracted to him. I can't get there. Why would Patrick need to wait 3 business days for you to tell him that when you knew that moment? And instead, you choose to weaponize your sexuality in person and are caressing all over his face, making out, jumping all over him. That is truly diabolical. So for this girl to stand there trying to play the victim, trying to be like, well, I was your second choice, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Girl, one is not connected to the other. You were awful. Full stop. And the way that Patrick is trying to just be like, just apologize. I would feel better if, and everybody would give you less shit if you just apologized.
Kaci, I think for you, it's just, if you could just, this is your moment to just like say, hey, I'm sorry for how I handled it. We could just wipe this clean.
And this girl was not backing down because in her brain, she really thinks that she didn't do anything wrong. And the way that she was like, oh, he doesn't care about the hate that I'm getting because he's making TikToks. Girl, you were also making tons of TikToks about the situation. I don't think that anyone on this stage can point fingers. It's just what everyone does. So to hold someone else on a different standard, especially when you left them. Personally, I don't think that he dragged her enough. And that's just my opinion, But anyway, after she finally apologizes, she's like, and I did bring back the ring. And everyone's like, oh. And she's like, yeah, so you can have it. And he's like, do you think that I should have it?
I have the ring with me. It's totally yours if you want it.
Do you think I should have it back?
Like, he's really milking this moment, and I love that for him because she really had him out here looking crazy, right? So he's like, do you think that I should have the ring? And finally, he gets it. Y'all, this is where my blood pressure rises, okay? Because I don't know for what reason, they have Chris Paul from the NBA, CP3, in the audience. Instead of dissecting, the many layers and issues of this relationship, the ways that she weaponized her sexuality, the way that she was clearly like, oh yeah, my family likes Asian people. Yeah, so pick me, choose me. Then sees him and doesn't like him. Why didn't we address that? The pick-me-sha of it all. Patrick's self-hate. Like, there's so many things that we can talk about here. But instead, they focus on the fact that these two like to play basketball in the pod. Hence, Chris Paul. So then they bring out a hoop and they have them play. And Chris Paul, not Patrick, Chris Paul says, let's play for the ring. Yep. And I wanted to shake Patrick because I'm like, Patrick, speak up for yourself. You just got the ring. I would have been like, I'm not playing under those terms. I'm not. But instead, they do that, and Patrick loses, and this bitch gets the ring again. I was furious. So not only did she learn absolutely nothing, she got an extra 15 minutes on camera, and now she leaves with the prize, the ring. When I tell y'all, I was this close to turning off my TV. Because that is bullshit. I felt so angry for Patrick because it's just the principle. He'll be fine without that ring. But it's the principle of it. Of having the villain have that smug face and leave with the ring. Oh my God. So after this BS of the rings, they asked Kaci, did you think anyone else out of the pods? And Madison is laughing, but not in like a, oh my God, tell us. In a this bitch kind of way. And Kaci's going on and on. The streets are talking. We already know that her and Joe had dated. He's trying to hide behind his mustache, but he is outed by his discomfort. So we learned that these two dated for like a month, and Madison is big mad because she's like, whatever is going on between y'all affected my engagement.
Whatever their connection was affected my engagement.
And here's the thing, Madison, that engagement was done the day he met you, but you didn't deserve that. But she's big mad because the day of the tux fitting, first of all, she had no idea that he had that panic attack, right? He was still acting like they were fine. She had tried on a wedding dress. She's thinking she's getting married. They go to this like get together with a bunch of the pod singles. And she saw something that Joe did that I was like, you're so shady. He was like, I mean, you know, she might have not been my type, but I was attracted to her. I mean, all we did was fight and fuck.
You've heard many times on the show, that's all we did was fight and fuck. So that's kind of physical attraction was there. Did not mean that in a put down way.
And I'm sorry, that doesn't mean anything to me. I feel like men can bang anything, and we've seen it. They can hate you and still bang you, so that's not a compliment. And so of course, like I said, Kait is there, and they address the fact that Kait is best friends with both Madison and Avery, Joe's new girl, and she's like, listen, we can be mature. There's really nothing to that except that it's a transition to get to the Nick of it all. Kait very much thought that Nick's apology to her was very insincere, and Nick proceeds to give her another rehearsed apology.
And like, let's talk about the love bombing, because I felt butterflies in that moment and I blurted it out too fast, and I wish I could have taken it back. Sorry, because I've never had the playbook on dating two women at once, and it was really wrong to say that when I still had another connection.
And Kait is very much just not willing to hear it because she's like, you could have talked to me privately at any given moment. And she thought it was shady that, you know, he only wanted to talk to her when there were cameras. And even now, they're talking at a reunion. But he knew to DM her when he knew that she was going to show up. So she's just like, that doesn't look like someone that is genuinely sorry. And I hear Kait, you know, like wanting a real apology, but at the end of the day, it's been a year. If he wanted to keep you in his life, yes, apologize until you're blue in the face. But if I were Nick and I'm done with you, I apologize once. If you don't want to hear it, that's with you and God. Like, that's not with me. That's it. I release you. So I kind of felt for him in that moment because I'm like, yeah, you got to keep apologizing because it's TV. But in real life, like, you wouldn't really spend so much of your time on someone that you no longer want to keep, you know? They touch on the love bombing of it all. And this is where they bring Annie into the conversation because Nick was repeating lines, you know, to girls. And I can imagine that it is hard to keep track in the pods. But again, if you sincerely want to tell someone, I love you, you're not going to tell 3 people you love them because that's just not. So now, Annie and Nick, they discuss the breakup. They don't discuss it as much as I would like. For example, they didn't discuss Annie's clear abuse of alcohol. And I don't know why that is, but they didn't address it at all. They were just like, yeah, in that breakup, you kind of held him hostage. Like, what was going on? And she seems, you know, embarrassed by it. She's very much like, yeah, you know, watching that back, I was carrying that relationship to the end and I wanted to keep trying and it was just hard to watch. But y'all, that's as far as that combo goes. They don't unpack it. They don't ask Nick, hey, what was the moment that you knew that you guys were going to break up? They didn't address none of that. They just asked her, oh, did you regret not selecting Brendan? And she's like, no. But I really would have liked for more questions to go to Nick about that breakup because it was so chaotic and it seemed like there was so much that happened behind the scenes that they just didn't share. And I wonder if it's for legal reasons. Like, I would have liked to know more. But what they do ask Nick is how he felt about the guys saying that they don't like him. Again, Joe is quick to apologize. And I'm like, Joe, what you said, sure, it was a little mean, but it's okay to not like someone. Nick was not likable. And Nick, you know, he takes that and he's like, no hard feelings. I was really to myself in the pods and I wasn't really bonding until that last day. So I can understand why the guys felt the way they felt. Again, Nick came rehearsed. He also claims that he was so distant from the guys that he had no idea he was in a love triangle until the last day. But Brendan knew. So I'm like, were you just in the pods talking about your connection? Like, I just don't get it. But Brendan was very aware, so that's why he was giving him that look when Nick was like, go get him. So yeah, I don't really know if I believe that, but that is what he said. And then just to wrap up their segment, Kait lets us know that she went out on like a single date with Brendan, and then they went to another party, and she saw that Brendan and Kaci were all over each other. So
When we had a meetup, me and Brendan connected, and we ended up going on a date. And then after that, we had gone out as a group another day. Went and met up with some girls at Kaci's apartment and kind of told them about it, and they were like hyping me up. That night, he was just all over Kaci. So
I am not here to shame a woman's sexuality, but when I heard that Kaci was also all over Brendan, I rolled my eyes so hard because it's like what I've said. She weaponizes her sexuality. Kait told her, yeah, I'm seeing Brendan. She probably was like, oh yeah, we just started, like it's casual, it's it's new. For her to then turn around at the next function and Kaci is all over this man, Kaci is denying it. But I'm like, Kaci, you're gonna deny every allegation when there's multiple witnesses about you being a little vixen? And if Kaci owned her bullshit, I wouldn't have anything to say about it. But the fact that she does these trifling ass moves and then is like, who, me? I didn't do that. Oh my God, you're lying on me.
That is so
Brendan
not
was
even
all
true.
they were all over each other.
All right, that is so false. It's not even funny.
I can't support that. And if you are her friend, I would rethink that. This girl is not loyal to anyone. She doesn't know what loyalty is. She's not even loyal to herself. So if you are her friend, watch out. But anyway, very intrigued that they didn't address the drinking thing at all. Up next, we have Ali and Anton, and they again, like, really don't get into that subject at all either. So first of all, they ask Anton how he feels about that bombshell that his friend's girl told Ali, because it really did shift the trajectory of their relationship. He is big mad about it because he's like, I've met that girl before that moment, maybe twice. She's dated my best friend for 4 months. I personally, watching that back, that girl was insecure about her relationship. She did not trust her man. So she's like, listen, I know that my man and your man usually like to party. I don't want my man in those places. You know if your bachelor party's gonna be at this? Ali heard all that and ran with it. So Anton felt a way about that interaction, but he also felt a way that Ali didn't want to talk about it at the table because he would have loved to just nip that in the bud right then and there. Instead, she let it stew. And she made it such a big deal on camera, but then we learn by a little, pressing action from the Lachey's, the one good thing they did, they never talked about it. So he's being crucified behind the scenes. And Nick Lachey is like, if it was so important to you, if it made you look at him differently, why didn't you ask him any questions about it? And she was like, oh, it was just so much going on.
But Ali, I'm confused because, but if it was that upsetting,
In the pods,
And he looked very confused by that because he's like, we had plenty of big conversations, serious conversations off camera. But she claims that he would up the energy on camera and that's just not who she felt he was. And she apparently told him in the pod that she likes to be with a guy that's like a showboat, the life of a party, because she's not that. And I'm like, Anton seems like a good time, but he also doesn't seem obnoxious. And maybe she's looking for someone that's obnoxious. If that's what it is, go forth and prosper. But the things that she says she has issues with seem so shallow. And I also find it so hypocritical that she, claims that she doesn't do certain things or have certain conversations because she's so tired from the night shift. But he's saying that sometimes he doesn't have energy to talk because he too works a night shift. So we're criticizing him for not doing certain things, but we can't criticize you for being a cochina, not cleaning your house. You know what I mean? Like, we can have issues for whatever we want to have issues. Everyone is different. Every relationship is different. But I think it's hypocritical to hold someone to a standard that you cannot live up to. If you cannot take care of your Botox, if you cannot afford a chef on your own, if you cannot afford a maid on your own, if you cannot afford a private condo on your own, to expect a man to take all of that and some right off the bat, to me is crazy. I will just never forget the way that her and her friends looked down on this man for working an honest job. Like, truck drivers make good money. And this man told you that he was willing to take care of everything. But because aesthetically it didn't match what she wanted, he really dodged a bullet in my opinion. Do I think that his relationship with alcohol is problematic to some? I can understand that. But I think that the things that he was crucified for didn't make all the way sense for me. And the shallowness continues because then they asked this girl, what was the moment that you knew it wasn't going to work out? You know what she said? In Mexico, when he came out with those flip-flops, was he supposed to wear business shoes on the beach? What else was he supposed to wear? I was like, get this girl off my screen. She's not serious. Back a scene of them there with the flip-flops, and they just look like regular slides. His feet don't look crusty, like they're just slides. And I was just like, we can't be serious, okay? But anyway, they asked them, you know, if they've moved on, if they're in different relationships. We see that Anton's girlfriend is in the audience. They've been together for a year. Love that for him. They ask, I'm gonna be nice. Am I gonna be nice? I'm gonna be nice. Kinda. They ask Ali, are you seeing anyone? She's like, you know, I understand the curiosity in my dating life, but I'm gonna keep that to myself. I'm like, girl, we're probably gonna forget about you after this episode. But when she said that, I was like, okay, just tell us you're gonna be on the next season of Perfect Match and go. But yeah, you guys, I was very shocked that they didn't address any of the deeper issues that we saw, but whatever, okay? Then we move on to Edmond and KB. This is another one that I really do feel like, one, they stayed away from certain topics, maybe for legal issues, but also I think that they are prepping KB for something else. And so they want to make sure that everything is pristine. So much so that I don't feel like we got to the meat of anything. So first they ask KB, like, you know, you said some comments about him turning it on and off for the camera. What's that about? She claims she is nervous, so she pulls out notes from her dress. And immediately when she pulled out these notes, I'm like, KB, you are a social worker. You talk for a living. You're not nervous.
All right, well, we'll just get into it.
Let's do it.
During the season, you...
And again, I know that people feel many different ways about Edmond. If anyone should have been prepared for this tell-all, I think that it should have been him. There was something really icky for me about seeing him spiral in that way for other people's amusement. Watching that back felt like everyone was in on like an insider and he was the butt of the joke. And I don't agree with a lot of things that he did, but I think that that was very gross. There must have been some talks with production behind the scenes because the Lachey's really want them to end on a good note. So they're like, okay, well, this is our opportunity, you know, to let everything out and apologize to each other. And, you know, we interpret things differently. And it really felt like they were talking to children. And KB says that she loved him and that, you know, he was the person that she was meant to do this experiment with. He says that he loved her and that he would have never ended up with someone like her if it wasn't for this show. And that's it, you guys. They don't address anything. They don't address the consent conversation, the whole conversation that happened in Mexico where she told him, I'm not banging you. And he was like, I'm too nice, and had that whole tantrum about it. They don't address that. They don't address her thoughts on masculinity and the fact that she wanted him to fight in the club. They don't address the fight that happened in the rodeo. They don't address his mother. They don't address anything. They didn't even ask her, like, when did you know that it was not going to work? None of it. They just end the episode with it being like, oh, it's Jordan's birthday. Everybody have protein ice cream. They could have kept this. This could have been an email. But that was it, you guys. I kid you not. That is how the reunion ended, with protein ice cream. I don't know who's worse. Kinetic for continuing to make this show, or me for continuing to consume it, because I'm gonna come back every single time. I just would like them to be better. I really do think that Love is Blind needs to have bigger breaks. I think that they really need to go back to the drawing board. And I know that it's hard because the next 2 seasons are probably already filmed, but they really need to take a beat. Really, regroup with their casting and their casting strategies. They should really add in different elements, like maybe have a therapist that works with them consistently. I mean, the truth is in the pudding. The fact that not even one couple got married lets you know that the selection was not great. The pairings were not doing it. Truly insane. I am glad that it is over. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. Y'all, if you hear howling randomly, it's the wind. It's going crazy. I keep having to pause. It's going to take me forever to edit this. So if you hear some wind, it's because of that. It's crazy in these New York City streets today. But anyway, please let me know your thoughts in the comments, you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching and for keeping up with me this season. Please do subscribe so that you don't miss out on when I cover the next season. Other than Love is Blind, I do talk a lot about 90 Day Fiancé. If that is your thing, do join me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!